Hi, this is your host Lolita Cros, and you're watching Eye to Eye. In today's episode, we go to Brooklyn to photographer Roe Ethridge's studio, whom I've set up on a studio date with fellow photographer Tina Barney. What do a Gen X and a baby boomer have in common? More than you might think. It's funny because I was telling Ro earlier, his lexicon, when he talks about his work, is the musical lexicon. He talks about fugues, tones, and if two images hum right together. Whereas you use more of a choreography language, and the Player's book is about that.
Well, I don't mean to do that. I mean, what's the biggest influences? Interior decoration and fashion, and maybe architecture, because my mother also was an interior decorator.
That makes sense.
And then art, the art that people have on their walls, and just the interiors that we live in. But the choreography part really has to do with the structure and the composition that I was very interested in. And that's the very beginning, but this is all has to do with Caravaggio and that whole school, is I wanted to monumentalize this woman, so I did bring the camera way down low as if to look up at her. But I did this because in perspective, the Dutch would have done this. This was to bring the eye subconsciously to here.
For sure.
I put this here because my mother taught me when you decorate, you should have things of different heights to roam around the room, and then put this there.
What's that?
A ball.
Oh, I see.
So the eye moves around the page and then goes inside the work of art. I don't know if you read The Power of the Center. I can't remember who wrote that. And this is Dutch Renaissanceian, is the power of the center. Well, the problem with fashion, I still have the power of the center, and then there's the gutter. And I'm always getting in trouble because the eye should go to the center, and then when you have that gutter...
Yeah, if you have the double page spread,
it's a terrible...
You gotta work around
the
it.
gutter is okay. Is that
I
what this
prefer
was?
verticals.
Well, that's
Off-centered?
No, probably yes, because
I mean,
this
yeah,
is
like
just...
that's
this
like
is
perfect
just,
for your spread.
That's interesting. Do you think about that, the layout of your
Always.
images when you're shooting?
Yeah, I mean, that's, and I think in some ways that's why I get a little control-y about the initial thing that gets sent out. I feel like half my art is out there taking pictures, and then the other half is
really?
like doing InDesign,
No
working
kidding.
in the sequence. That's where this musical thing started to really make sense to me, because taping stuff up on the wall and backing away and seeing how it works, it's like an instrument. So you're like essentially like writing the whole musical score.
But for a book?
Composition. Yes.
Okay.
But also for these kinds of projects.
Yeah.
Let's
Which
see, what's
is,
that? I've
on
never
one
seen that.
panel, that's one print.
When did
Yeah.
you do that?
That was 2017.
This is 2014.
Well, no,
14,
That's
okay.
still...
And they're all images that originally could have been printed this size or smaller. Like they're not necessarily new to this project. You repurpose your own work a lot and then mess with the composition.
The funny story about that is that I would make little models of my exhibitions. Yeah, like people do, out of foam core. And then I would make little prints. But to make that, so you're not just like putting one picture on a big sheet of paper, you gang them together. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, fuck, this is so good. Like, I could not have thought of this. It's an accident, totally. That's where the fugue thing kind of made more sense to me as a photographer, and having that juxtaposition or disharmony, harmony. It's like doing German objective photography poorly, or getting Andy Warhol wrong.
I don't want to not open a can of worms, but maybe it's to talk about Wolfgang Tillmans. I think he's the most important photographer, I'd say, alive for me. He teaches me things about seeing that are so important. So, I mean, I'm looking at this, for instance. This sort of has a Tillmans sort of a vision, I would say.
This book is 99 to 22.
Wow, there's a lot
and
of
it's a mix
pictures.
of editorial
and
and
I like
exhibited work, but then there's also other shit in there that's just like...
Yeah, you're very involved in how both of you guys, and how you display the images in your book.
I needed to like put something out, and I needed to gain control of that ability to sequence stuff.
I think that also allows you to insert jokes. The new construction book, you just has a photo of like a construction worker, a hot construction worker,
I love that.
and an LL Bean ad just right next to it. It's like there's always like a kind of throwing a curveball in the whole process.
I'm amazed
of
they let you
editing.
do that.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's amazing some of the things I've gotten away with.
So I'm really envious that you get away with a lot of things, like this picture here.
That's an iPhone picture.
Oh, don't tell me that.
I've been showing iPhone pictures
I'm
for
really
years,
jealous.
Tina.
That would be so easy.
Well, it is and it isn't. That's the thing is that
on.
like it can't just be,
iPhone.
this is it, you were just saying it. It's like it's not about the camera. And
No.
really for real, that
that's
is
the
like
thing
me
is-
putting it to the test.
Can you talk more about your relationship with your recurring subjects? We have Louise here, but like Hillary Rhoda.
But I love her.
Yeah, she's
No, Louise is
incredible.
incredible.
But I mean, look at that gesture, position that, you know.
I know.
I was thinking about Renika Dijkstra in
Uh-huh.
a funny way with this, and the very big difference between
Yeah.
the bathing suits. Now, did you tell her to look like that?
I mean, there must have been, 120 pictures we
Oh.
took in that moment.
Oh
But,
my God.
But she'd be like walking, holding a bag, doing different variations, and then I'd be like, Louise,
I love how simple this
just
is.
fucking relax, or just da da da, and she's like, huh, and then click, that's the one. You know what I mean?
I
Like where
love
there's
it.
like,
So you don't give them a script before?
no. I mean, we might talk about stuff, but I don't want it to be. My feeling is that like it's not about me. It's about us and this thing that's happening. The cliche of the like. Come on, darling, just one more button, like it's like Austin Powers, or like David Bailey or something like that. It's like it's not about like manipulating the person to get the image. It's perhaps there is a manipulation, but it's to get an image that we both like
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
like a director with their actor.
And I think it sounds like you do more than of that when you're talking about these pictures than I actually realized.
Most of the time, the people are the placement of them, and what they do is phenomena. I call it phenomena. So it's a very
that's-
fine line. And I
Person,
only
but-
worked once with a prop person, and I mean, I'm
Uh-huh.
not a bitch, but I kind of like to do what I do. And all of a sudden, this guy comes in, and he starts putting a little thing here, and he starts moving a chair, and I thought, dude,
Yeah.
you're touching my world. And then I started seeing what he was doing, and it was so fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
There was no way I would have brought in a little aquarium or so,
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden realize that wasn't an intrusion, it was a collaboration.
Yeah, I love those relationships, and in a way, I realize that it's still my picture, but it's a different. Speaking of music, it's like a different band.
You have that same kind of relationship with your set designer, Andy Harmon.
Yeah, and I'd say like.
Oh my gosh, must be fantastic. I'm sure you know this better than me, but there are all different kinds of stylists and how very important they are. And how really brilliant they can be. It's very exciting collaboration. So it's a dance, really.